Alan Watts, the book on the taboo against knowing who you are. Full summary. Introduction. Every word I speak in these videos is a doorway, a quiet invitation to look inward and remember something ancient, yet forgotten, something you've always known, but dared not fully accept. If you're ready to peel back the illusion and rediscover who you really are, then walk with me. And before we begin this exploration of Alan Watts's The Book on the Taboo Against Knowing Who You Are, know this. Each idea shared here is a ripple from a deeper ocean. If you wish to dive fully into that ocean, you'll find the full book linked in the description. Your support allows us to continue planting seeds of awakening across the world. Now take a deep breath. Forget what you've been told and allow yourself to remember. This book is not just about identity, it's about freedom. It's about the trap we've created around the idea of self and how society, religion, and even language itself have constructed a cage so subtle that we call it normal. Alan Watts, with poetic elegance and piercing clarity, reveals that we've mistaken the mask for the face. And now, in a world more disconnected than ever, his message is not just relevant, it's revolutionary. So let us begin. The illusion of the separate self. We are taught to believe that we are individual entities, that you are a skin-encapsulated ego, a lone island drifting in a sea of other people, other forces, other things. But Watts challenges this deeply embedded notion. He says, you are not a stranger in this universe. You are not a visitor. You are the universe playing hide and seek with itself. Imagine a wave on the ocean thinking it's separate from the sea. It rises, crashes, and fades, believing its journey is personal and isolated, not realizing it is the ocean, expressing itself in form. You too are not a detached object floating in reality. You are reality. Practice. The next time you walk through a forest or sit by a river, don't just look at the trees or hear the water. Sense the moment as if you are not an observer but a participant. As if the wind is not blowing at you, but through you. The taboo against knowing who you are. Why is it so difficult to accept this truth, that we are not separate? Because it's taboo. Society has built its structure on the illusion of separateness. If you were to suddenly realize that you are everything, then all the games of control, guilt, power, and ego would collapse. And so from childhood, you were taught to be good, to fit in, to conform, to wear the mask. Watts tells us that this is the unspoken rule. Don't question who you really are. It's not that the truth is hidden, it's just ignored, forbidden. Practice. Write down the labels you identify with, your job, your nationality, your roles. Then ask yourself, if I had no memory, no name, no mirror, who would I be? You are not just inside your head. In Western thinking, we often locate consciousness behind our eyes, as if there's a little me sitting in the head, looking out through the body like it's a vehicle. But Watts flips that idea. He says you don't come into the world, you come out of it. Just as an apple tree apples the universe peoples, and you are it. You're not simply in the world, you are the world, just like a leaf is the tree. You are not merely experiencing the universe. You are the activity of the universe. Practice. Sit in silence for 5 minutes. Feel your breath, your heartbeat, your skin. Don't observe these, just be them. Let go of the watcher, be the watching. The game of hide and seek. Watts describes the universe as a cosmic game, a dance between remembering and forgetting. Life, in this sense, is the infinite playing dress-up. You, the deep self, chose to forget who you are just so you could remember again. Why? Because without forgetting, there would be no surprise, no wonder, no joy in rediscovery. The game is not meant to be won, it's meant to be played. Practice. Take something ordinary, a glass of water, the rustle of leaves, your own hand, and look at it as if seeing it for the very first time. Ask yourself, What if I've forgotten what this truly is? Identity is a process, not a thing. You are not a fixed object, not a noun but a verb, not a thing but a happening. Alan Watts reminds us that we treat identity like a frozen sculpture, a definition carved in stone. But in truth, you are like a melody, a flowing, ever-changing vibration of existence. You're not the same person you were a year ago, a week ago, even a moment ago. Yet society conditions us to hold on to roles. I am this, I am that. But the more tightly you cling, the more disconnected you feel. Because identity, like a river, must move. It must dance. Practice. Today, speak of yourself as a process. Say, I am evolving, I am unfolding, I am not finished. Notice how freeing that feels. The false self is a social construct. The you think you are is mostly borrowed. Watts calls this the ego image, a mental construction built from expectations, comparisons, praise, criticism, achievements, and fears. We are taught to live as if we are on stage, performing for others. We become strangers to ourselves, playing a role we didn't write, for an audience that doesn't know us. But here's the secret. The false self is not evil, it's just scared. Scared of being seen, scared of being nothing. And so, it clings to identity like a raft in a storm. Practice. Close your eyes and ask gently, who am I trying to impress today? Then take one small action that is true to your inner being, not your outer mask. You belong to the whole cosmos. You were not born into the world, you were born from it. Like a fruit from a tree, a wave from the ocean, a star from the sky, you are an expression of the cosmos itself. There is no separation, no edge, no boundary. You are not here and the universe out there. You are not in nature, you are nature. Watts invites us to feel this cosmic belonging not as a poetic idea, but as a visceral reality. Practice. Go outside, stand barefoot on the ground, feel the sun or wind on your skin. Say silently, I do not stand on earth, I rise from it. The myth of control. We spend our lives trying to control things, control our emotions, control our outcomes, control how we're perceived. But control is an illusion. Alan Watts says, trying to control the mind is like trying to grab water with your fist. The tighter you squeeze, the less you hold. Freedom doesn't come from domination. It comes from trust, from learning to ride the wave instead of fighting it. Practice. Next time you feel anxious or overwhelmed, instead of fixing the feeling, try this. Close your eyes, breathe, say let it be. And simply observe, no resistance, no judgment. Just presence. Life is not a journey, it's a dance. We've been taught that life is a serious pilgrimage towards some far-off goal, success, enlightenment, salvation. But Watts flips that completely. He says, life is not a journey with a destination. It is a musical thing, and we are supposed to dance while the music is being played. We don't listen to music just to get to the end. We enjoy every note. In the same way, life is not about getting somewhere. It's about being here, playing, dancing, expressing. Practice. Today, do something not because it gets you somewhere, but because it's joyful. Paint badly, dance in your room, sing out of tune, just be. Death is not the end, it's part of the game. The great fear behind our clinging, pretending, and ego is this: death. But Alan Watts reminds us that death is not the opposite of life. It is part of the same movement, just like inhaling and exhaling, just like waking and sleeping. The ego says, I must survive at all costs. But the deeper self knows, I have never truly been born and I will never truly die. You are the consciousness in which the idea of death appears, but you are not the idea itself. Practice. Meditate on this phrase. The wave returns to the ocean, but it was never separate to begin with. The eternal now. Time is one of the greatest illusions. We chase the future, regret the past, and miss the only thing that is ever real, this moment. Watts teaches that the present is not a fleeting point between what was and what's coming. It is eternity unfolding. It is the only place you ever are. And when you truly enter the now, all striving stops, all seeking dissolves. There is just presence, pure, radiant being. Practice. Set a timer for 60 seconds. Close your eyes. Feel your breath. Hear the sounds around you. Notice your thoughts and let them pass like clouds. Be here fully, just for 1 minute. Awakening is remembering what you already know. You're not broken. You don't need fixing. You are not a problem to solve. Watts reminds us that awakening isn't about becoming something new. It's about remembering what you already are. The truth lives in you, beneath all the noise. It's not about learning more. It's about unlearning what's false. You are not a puppet in the universe. You are the puppeteer. Not a thing in existence, but existence itself. Practice. Every morning, place your hand on your heart and say, I am not separate. I am not lacking. I am life itself dancing as me. Conclusion. So now you've heard the whisper, that quiet reminder echoing through Alan Watts's words, that you were never truly lost, only pretending to be. This book is not just philosophy, it is a mirror, one that doesn't show you your face but your essence, the part of you that is timeless, boundless, formless, the part of you that remembers. You are not separate from life. You are not a mistake. You are the universe disguised as a person, waking up to its own brilliance. And the moment you stop searching, striving, grasping, the moment you become still enough to feel the breath of now, that's when you realize you've already arrived. You've always been home. So I ask you now, not as a teacher, but as a friend on the path, take off the mask, even if only for a moment. Let yourself be raw, unfiltered, real. You'll be surprised by the peace that lives underneath. 1. Slow down. Walk barefoot more often. Touch leaves with reverence. Let your senses lead you back into the now. 2. Say yes to the mystery. You don't have to understand everything. Life isn't a puzzle to solve, it's a story to experience. 3. And finally, remember. Remember that you are not just in the world, you are the world. You are not a separate soul. You are the whole playing as a soul. Each video I share is not content, it is a doorway, a gentle knock on the part of you that already knows. If you feel called to continue walking this path with me, subscribe now. Your one simple click helps this message reach more hearts, more minds, more souls ready to wake up. And if today's message stirred something in you, if a part of you whispered yes, then I invite you to go deeper. Tap the link in the description to get your own copy of the book, On the Taboo Against Knowing Who You Are by Alan Watts. Every purchase through that link supports this channel and helps us continue to share the teachings that set people free. Take a deep breath. Click the link below and begin your journey, not towards something new, but back to the truth you've always known. Thank you for watching. If this video spoke to you, leave a comment, give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe for more soul awakening content. Until next time, keep dancing with life.